Lord Perschon was relatively new to the London area. He had arrived as social unknown, challenged for Wolsey Castle Alpha, and won. He gave young ladies heart palpitations even outside of his wolf form, with a favorable combination of mystery, preeminence, and danger. Having acquired the burr post, Wolsey Castle, and noble rank from the dispossessed former pack leader, he never lacked for a dinner invitation. His beta, inherited with the pack, had a tense time of it, dancing on protocol and covering up Lord Perschon's various social gaffes. So far, bluntness had proved Professor Lyell's most consistent problem. Sometimes it even rubbed off on him. He had not meant to shock Miss Terabody, but she was now looking most subdued. "I was simply sitting," Alexia explained, placing the sandwich aside, having lost her appetite. "He launched himself at me, totally unprovoked. His feeding fangs were out. I am certain if I had been a normal daylight woman, he would have bled me dry. I simply had to defend myself." Professor Lyell nodded. A vampire in a state of extreme hunger had two socially acceptable options: to take sips from various willing drones belonging to him or his hive, or to pay for the privilege from the blood whores down dockside. This was the 19th century, after all. One simply did not attack unannounced and uninvited. Even werewolves, who could not control themselves at full moon, made certain they had enough clavigers around to lock them away. He himself had 3, and it took 5 to keep Lord Perschon under control.
Do you think maybe he was forced into this state?
The professor wondered.
You mean imprisoned until he was starving and no longer in possession of his faculties?
Lord Perschon considered this idea. Professor Lyell flipped his glassicles back down off his hat and examined the dead man's wrists and neck myopically.
No signs of confinement or torture, but hard to tell with a vampire. Even in a low blood state, he would heal most superficial wounds in...
He grabbed Lord Perschon's metal roll and stylus, dipped the tip into the clear sizzling liquid, and did some quick calculations.
A little over 1 hour.
The calculations remained etched into the metal.
And then what? Did he escape, or was he intentionally let go?
Alexia interjected. "He seemed perfectly sane to me. Aside from the attacking part, of course. He was able to carry on a decent conversation. He even tried to charm me. Must have been quite a young vampire." And she paused, dramatically lowering her voice, and said in sepulchral tones, "He had fang lisp." Professor Lyell looked shocked and blinked largely at her through the asymmetrical lenses. Among vampires, lisping was the height of vulgarity. Miss Terabody continued. "It was as though he had never been trained in hive etiquette. No social class at all. He was almost a bore." It was a word she had never thought to apply to a vampire. Lyell took the glassicles off and put them away in their little case with an air of finality. He looked gravely at his alpha.
You know what this means, then, my lord?
Lord Perschon was not frowning anymore. Instead, he was looking grim. Alexia felt it suited him better, setting his mouth into a straight line and touching his tawny eyes with a determined glint. She wondered idly what he would look like if he smiled, a real honest smile. Then she told herself quite firmly that it was probably best